Hey, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexander, and I'm a guitarist, composer, and overall music nerd from Copenhagen, Denmark. And in this video, we're building a modernized, old-school rhythm tone using the Diesel VH4 amp. Let's go. Alright, so a brief bit of history before we dive into building the preset. I have a notoriously problematic relationship with the Diesel VH4 amp. I was super stoked when it came into the Helix back in the day, a few updates ago or whatever. But I didn't really quite crack the code with it and get sort of, to my ears at least, good sounding presets using it. I have a few examples of it, but compared to maybe the Ref Gen Purple or the Orange amp when it came in, or the new PV Vitrol, the Archetype amp, it never quite reached that level where, at least in the genre that I play in and the music that I play and create, I never quite found a use for it. But I know out there it's an industry standard, and I probably listened to a million records where that amp is on it. So I thought I would give it another crack, and that is the reasoning behind this tone. And I actually think I may have gotten onto something. At least now it sounds good to my ears. Maybe you'll hate it, but we'll see. Lastly, I want to mention that I run a website called composition101.com. On there you can find all of my preset bundles. You can find my impulse responses now and my lesson packs. And it would be really cool if you would check it out. And of course, if you follow the link down in the description, after you finished watching the video, I have an ongoing battle with watch time these days. So it would be cool if you would lend me just a few minutes of your time. I was saying something. Down in the description, there's a link to this exact preset and this impulse response, which is taken directly from one of my packs. So it's a bit of a freebie to lure you in and get your email and eventually get all of your money. I have to be transparent, right? Okay, let's dive into the Helix preset and see what we got going on there. All right, so welcome back to Helix Edits. Yet again, another high gain tone. We meet again. There's a pattern to these things, it seems. And let's just dive right into it. Using the VH4 amp, the Das Benzin lead. That's my best German accent. I am Danish, if you were not aware. The settings are here, fairly standard to my taste with other amps at least. Feel free to copy them there. Don't need to go through every number. And for the caps, we're using a cap from my modern 4x12 impulse response pack that you can, of course, get on my website. This time around, it's cap number 3, mix number 1. Low cut at 100 Hz and high cut at 10K. And it sounds like this, probably not super great. It has some of the qualities that we like, right? But the low end is way out of control and seems muffled and quite a lot, right? But it has that, at least to my, now I'm getting used to calling myself old, but my sort of young ears. I didn't grow up in the 80s with thrash metal and all of that stuff. But to me, it sounds like a sort of modern take on a thrash metal or sort of old school metal tone, right? I should say, in this video, we are on my Fast Guitars Roma, sort of custom, semi-custom build. And it has the Alpha and Omega pickups. I don't remember which one's which. High gain stuff, sounds cool, and tuned to drop B. What a gorgeous looking finish, right? All right, just so you know what guitar I'm playing on and with what pickups. Okay, so let's go through the tone. It's fairly standard to some of the other things that I do. As I said many times now, I want to keep it in one signal chain, so all of you HX Stomp guys and Stomp XL and all of that, you can play along as well without going totally out of hand. And it ends up sounding good, I promise. Okay, input gate, minus 48 dB, decay at 10 milliseconds, fairly standard. The drive pedal solves all of our problems, right? The horizon drive and the fairly stock settings, right? I think, I don't even remember. I always set it to something like this. Attack at 4, brightness a bit up. I think it's at 3 point something, 3.5 maybe, by default. And then I leave the drive alone and I leave the gate alone. It's insane difference, right? just listen to the low string, right? Almost sounds like a bass tone, and then insane. I love drive pedals, man. They're the best. All right, same procedure as every year, James. We have the simple EQ in the beginning. And here it does, I think, a bit more of the heavy lifting than usual. It takes away again a lot of the low end, and we get the attack and the punch and the string chime out, right? It got noisy, so again we put a noise gate on. It does the job. How nice. Standard settings, I think. Guitar input, of course, and then sensitivity at 8.5. I think it's default. Then, as per usual, all of this is sort of DI manipulation. We get into the amp of the cab. We just covered that. And then I have some post-amp and cab manipulation, both compressor we have in the end to get some loudness and get the last sort of glue, dare I say, I hate that term, but get the last little bit of processing to sort of make it sound like a finished and polished tone, right? We have the LA Studio come at the end, but before that we have both a tilt EQ and we have a parametric EQ. Tilt EQ, choose a point, make everything from that point darker or brighter. In this case we chose brighter, right? Oh, especially when you sort of fast alternate picking. Sounds really great with the string tone EQ and a bit of more brightening from the tilt. But we don't have much of that kind of sizzly, annoying high end, but it does really do a great difference. Just brightening it up slightly, brightening the higher parts of the mids, right, and of course the high end as well. Quite a lot actually. 35 is quite a bit. And then we tame it afterwards using the parametric EQ. Sounds really good in my opinion. Again, like the last or the previous tone that I did, we solved two issues, or we solve an issue and we get some added bonuses, right? Now it sounds kind of dull, right? We have a little bit of an maybe too aggressive high end, and we solve that. And we get the tone to sort of step out into the light, right? It sounds before this, it sounds muffled and a bit sort of held back. And now we, as we can see also from 2K, 4K, and 8K, we boost all of them quite a bit, right? Almost 2 dB, 1 dB, and 2.5 dB, 8K. So of course, all of the bite and the definition and the clarity of the tone, it gets pushed forward, right? And that is what we hear here. And in my opinion, this amp really needs that. When we turned all of this off, it sounded, super muffled and, almost like we're in a barrel with a carpet over it or something like that, right? It doesn't sound sort of modern and metal ready, but of course you can get it to this point with fairly simple moves, I think. Feel free to cover these settings. They're sort of a tweak of a standard kind of parametric EQ preset that I use. You probably figured this out already if you watched some of my other videos, that I tend to use a sort of template for this for most presets, and then I tweak it around to fit the guitar and the specific amp and the specific cab, right? So this is where you can do a lot of the heavy lifting. Then in the end, we of course have a studio comp, LA Studio comp, and without and with. sounds super great. So again, there's this thing with sound being sort of relative to what you get used to, right? Before, when we turned on the parametric EQ, it sounded like that was taking it out into the light and boosting the mids, getting all the bite and definition. I feel the same way now. Now it sounds kind of boring and a little dull, and then we get this. And that sounds super defined now. Of course, we could go on forever and get a totally unusable tone in the end that will just cut through everything, and everyone in the live show will only be able to hear you. So we better stop somewhere, and I think that somewhere is somewhere right around here, right? But it sounds really good. This tone, it ended up being very much to my liking. Has bite, it has definition, and it even has some low end left. When we play chords like that. And that's also super important to be able to move some air if you still play with amps. I don't, so moving air is maybe a bit of an ancient term. Yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video, guys. I hope that you got some cool tips and tricks, and if you, like me, had a problematic relationship with the VH4, I hope this may have helped to solve that issue for you, that is. At least it did for me. I think this tone is really great, and I think I have to play a bit more around with the VH4 in the future. And as always, feel free to like the video, say hi to me down in the comments, or suggest topics or tones that you would like for me to dive into, and I will be happy to oblige. And of course, subscribe. It's the most important thing for this channel. It helps me reach more people. It helps me, grow the channel and keeps me motivated to make additional videos for you as well. And it's super free on your end, so help a brother out and press the little button down in the corner. It would be much obliged. That's all for this time, guys. Until next time, see ya.